And the weather, as we have seen, was not very good. Well, today, not a cloud in the sky. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's the men's turn. Doesn't seem quite fair, does it? I'm Bob Biatti, and working with me, the 1984 Olympic silver medalist from Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, Steve Mayer. Steve, the first slalom race of the season for the men coming up here, and you know, they've been training for 5 months. They don't know exactly how fast to go. What is it like getting ready for that first one? You've done it a lot of times, that first race of the season.
Well, it's basically go out there and take the chances you feel you need to be where you are in your ski, and hopefully they're going to have their training together and be on top of things today. But
you kind of have to be careful, don't you? You want to go fast enough to be right in there, but on the other hand, you don't want to fall down and blow it in that first race.
Well, today the hill is very steep and it's very icy, and so the guys are going to have to push their limits to a certain extent and yet try to stay on the safe side, make sure they finish, get that confidence started. The one that takes the most chances, though, is going to be our winner.
Well, there are a lot of great races. You can't go too slow in the slalom races on this World Cup circuit. Okay, the first run of slalom has been completed. When we come back, we'll show you the highlights. First run of the slalom, Jonas Nielsen from Sweden. Third racer to leave the start, turned in a sensational run.
Yes, he did, Bob. Outstanding, good soft touch on the ice.
Of those racers starting in the first 15, Günther Mader from Austria stood in second position, but he was 96 hundredths of a second behind Nielsen, and that is a long way out, Steve.
Anytime you're more than about 2/10 out on a run, it's an eternity. 96 hundredths is.
Okay, one gate caused a lot of problems. Joe Gaspo, the best slalom racer on the Swiss team.
Joe went out about halfway down. He was known for GS 2 or 3 years ago. Last year became a slalom star.
And again in that same gate, the great Ingemar Stenmark from Sweden. At 31 years of age, the winner of more World Cup slaloms than anyone in history.
A personal friend. I was hoping to see him do well. I'll have to try again another day.
Well, he'll have his day, I'm sure. He's a great one. Matthias Perto from Austria had his problems.
Once again, that same gate. All three of them just got inside, locked, and ended up not making the next one.
And Felix McGrath from Norwich, Vermont, the #1 racer from the U.S.
Felix had a so-so run going. Was a little bit on the tails on the steep, and once again, that same gate got him by going inside.
Just as it seemed as though Nielsen would take a tremendous lead into the second run, Alberto Tomba from Italy delighted his fans. He stood 25th, and the course appeared to be deteriorating, but he turned in the fastest run to lead Nielsen by 17 hundredths of a second.
It was an outstanding run, Bob. Those two are in the race for the gold today. We'll see what happens on the second one.
And Marc Girardelli, the Austrian skiing for Luxembourg and the 1986 World Cup champion, was not as fast as he would have liked and finished 22nd in the first run. I talked to him about the condition of the course and his run.
It's very hard to ski. After the first 5-6 numbers, the turns, they have some rips in, and it's not, you cannot make the turn around.
The first slalom race of the year, it's kind of hard to know how fast to go, isn't it?
Yes, I'm happy to be in the finish, though I'm far behind, but I try to do better in the second.
I'm sure you will. Good luck.
Thanks.
The first run of slalom has been completed, and coming up, the second run of the first World Cup race of the season. Second run, the 15 top finishes are reversed. Since Carlo finished 15th in that first run, he's going to be the first one down. Rosa started 28th, so it gives you an idea how some of these youngsters are coming along. A lot of good young ski racers. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain here. They're really firing, aren't they, Steve?
Well, they really are. I tell you, the Italians have showed up really strong today, as well as the Austrians, and this is just one of them right now.
Okay, we hear Gerosa coming down. Very icy. All of the loose new snow has been scraped off, and it's down to very hard, icy, machine-made snow here.
Yep, coming up on our midway. Looks like this run might be a little quicker than the last one. The midway is definitely about 3 seconds faster.
It definitely looks like the gates are a lot straighter. The turns aren't anywhere near as wide as that first run. We're going to see the races really bash down through here.
Yeah, we both courses had 64 gates. It's just a matter of how they are positioned on the hill, whether it'll be faster or slower in the total time.
And so Carlo Gerosa, who is 1.99 seconds behind the leader, Tomba, is finished with a total time of 1:47.75. Next racer who will be coming down, Bojan Križaj from Yugoslavia at 30 years old. The 15th season for him on the World Cup circuit. And he's skiing, well, he's skiing very well, although he wasn't very happy after that first run. I tried to talk to him at the finish line. He almost bit my head off.
Bojan, I think, was just a little frustrated that, he felt like he's probably skied really well, and he just held on too much the first run.
Well,
he was too good.
Usually he's very good on icy and steep terrain as it is here, but he just was a little bit too cautious. And a great slalom ski race, the 1987 World Cup slalom champion.
Yeah, you're right, Bob. He just took a little bit too much caution on that first run, didn't go at the poles quite enough. He's going to have to let it hang out a little more this run and see if it happens for him.
Well, he certainly wasn't very happy. He does look, he got back on his skis a little bit, but he did a good recovery.
Yeah, the other person that before him had the same problem there a little bit.
Okay, he's midway time, 12/100ths of a second.
Ahead.
Faster than that, turned in by Jarosa. But Krijai has a lot of time to make up. He was 1.95 seconds out of first place. That's a long time for him.
You shouldn't be that much out after 5 runs of slalom if you're in the hunt on the average run. So.
Oh, look at him, almost right over the top of his skis. Krijai doesn't look very good as he comes down through the finish line. Was very poor, very weak for him on the side. Usually he's very precise. So Bojan Krijai is not opening the season in very good form.
Just a little too harsh on the edges today.
Standing in the starting gate, Rudolf Nierlich from Austria, 21-year-old. 12th in the World Cup slalom standings last year. And he had a good run in that first run. He was in 13th position.
Once again, the Austrians have been strong this year, or at the end of last year, and they're coming on, starting off with a good start this year.
Interesting how high he stands on his skis. Some of them are a lot lower, but he stands very high on his skis, Steve.
Well, that's true, and today I think on this ice, if they can stand up like that, they have a tendency to be quicker on and off the edge. If you stay down, you're on the edges too long.
Stay down and get those ankles moving when you're up there like this.
You can see he's quick. He's 4/10 ahead at the midway. He's having a good run, Bob.
Well, he seems very nice and light on his feet. Oh, hooked the gate right there. The ski popped off, and that's what those bindings are meant to do, so saved him from possible injury. But a tough break for Rudolf Nierlich from Austria, and he's out of the running here today.
Yeah, Bob, he just goes in a little bit straight here coming up, and you'll see that his inside foot, or his left leg here, is going to hook up on a gate. It just, he's a little bit behind there. It's kind of off balance, whatnot.
Well, this first run here in Sestriere, Italy is difficult. Early runners are having some problems. We'll be back here in Sestriere, Italy. We're looking at Florian Beck from West Germany. He finished 12th after that first run, 1.92 seconds out. Keeping in mind that the leader, Alberto Tomba, was the leader, and he will be coming down 15th. It will be his race to win or lose.
I believe Florian just hooked the tip there. He's continuing on here, but I think he will be disqualified.
Florian Beck, the West Germans have had outstanding physical training, and a lot of people say that Germans are skiing better and better because of their physical condition.
Well, I think strength has a lot to do with it, especially on a steep hill like this. You have to be very strong on your skis and get on and off the edge.
And in the early going, he has the fastest midway time.
Yeah, the first run, my feeling was he's a little bit too much on the tip. This run, he's skiing a lot more square on the ski, using the whole ski more.
Beck has been on the circuit for a long time. He's 29 years of age. And, Steve, I'm surprised that there are so many older racers still competing.
I like to see it. I've talked to Bojan and a couple others today that have been there for 14 years now. It's a long time.
You're just speaking for the old guys.
I like the old guys.
Well, we'd like to have you and Phil right out here racing again.
I don't think it's going to happen, Bob.
Giovanni Moro from Italy. He started in 44th position after that first run. Usually that's reserved for people who are going to ski on the rocks, but the conditions were very good because it's so icy here today, and he had an outstanding run. He finished 11th after that first run.
And he would have been better. I think he could have been probably about 7th on the first run. He made a big mistake about 2 or 3 gates from the end on the first run and lost a lot of time.
Look at that helmet. Those poles are hitting him right in the head almost every gate.
Well, once again, that's another Italian, and you can see he's standing a lot more upright than some of the racers, and this is allowing him to get on and off the edge a little quicker.
Oh, the Italians are skiing here at home in Sestriere, but, it's interesting. The Italians always seem good in the early part of the season, and then they fade.
Well, sometimes that can be with training, though. They'll peak too early in the season. Ideally, this year you're going to peak in February for the Olympics, but we'll see what happens with them this year.
Steve, how important is it to be at home? I mean, does it help a lot?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, like for the Americans, was you just didn't have the language barrier. You're used to the food and stuff. Europeans, it's very similar from country to country. A lot of them speak a couple languages, so it's a little easier for them.
Okay, and Moro is taking advantage of pretty good snow conditions. Second place, 16 hundredths of a second behind. Our leader for the moment, his countryman, Jarosa. He has a combined time of 1:47.75. And now coming up, Roland Pfeiffer, 23-year-old Austrian, and he started 40th in the first run.
Yeah, we have a lot of late comers on that first run, coming from way back in the pack to be in the hunt after the first run.
Okay, Pfeiffer was 10th after that first run as we run through in reversed order of the top 15, working our way slowly to the leaders. Tomba from Italy, and in second place, Jonas Nielsen. We're going to be watching them because they had big leads. Be interested to see if they can hold it.
Well, right now, you know, the first four are within 4/10. Very similar to what they were after the first run. Let's see if any of those runs are going to be better against those first run leaders this run.
You know, it's interesting watching the Austrians. Last year, the Swiss dominated so much the sport of alpine skiing, and skiing is the national sport of Austria, and it was a real calamity. They fired the coach, Dieter Botch, recently. As a matter of fact, I'm told that he heard of the firing while watching on television with his children. Not a bad, good way to hear about it.
No,
and we thought Earl Bruce had it tough at Ohio State. But he has a good time, good midway time, the best so far for young Roland Pfeiffer. And the Austrians have a lot of good young ski racers.
Well, he's doing the same thing that the young Italians are doing. That's just standing up and getting pressure really late in the corner or late in the turn, not overpowering the ski the whole way through.
Let's see as he comes through the finish line. He has the best time so far. So Roland Pfeiffer, who started 40th in the first run, now has the lead. Good young ski racer.
Yes, he is. We'll probably see more of him as the year progresses.
Another Austrian, an outstanding skier, 25-year-old Hubert Strolz, who is Mark Girardelli's best friend, we're told. And he has, well, he's really best in giant slalom, one of the best giant slalom skiers in the world. Those are for bigger, longer turns. These, of course, are the tighter, quicker slalom turns. But in giant slalom, he has been second 7 different times. He's yet to win. Yeah. But he's not a bad slalom skier either.
No, watching him in GS, he just has a really good feel for the snow, rides the ski well. Slalom is a different event. You just have to be quick on and off. You can't ride the ski like that. And he's making the adjustment today and is coming on well.
Strolz 9th after the first one, 1.7 seconds out of first place. He's got a lot of time to make up. But if he can just get up there, out of the course. What happened to him? It looked like he just fell right over his ski.
I think he hooked a tip there, Bob, and it ended up making him go over the front. But if we can get a replay of it, I think he did hook a tip.
Okay, here we see it.
As he comes around this gate, he's in really good shape here. I mean, this is good skiing. And then on this one right here, he just goes in just a bit early. The tip hooks there, and he's over the front, and he's done.
30 years old, and you know, everybody keeps saying, well, he's going to keep retiring, but here he is again. I know you talked to him earlier.
Yes, I did. I talked to him earlier and asked him why he hadn't retired. He talked about doing it back in 1982. Here we are 6 years later. He's still at it. I don't know if he's going to retire next year.
Well, 10 years ago in Garmisch, West Germany, in the World Championships, he was 3rd in the slalom, but here he is firing away. Still a good ski racer.
Yes, he is. He's one that has really a tendency to stand up well, and on icy hills, that works well.
His father, interestingly enough, raced cross country in the 1948 Olympics.
He had a brother called Willie that was a bronze medalist in the World Championships in each event in 3 different World Championships.
And a good run, only 12 hundredths of a second out, midway time. So Paul Fromeld, who was 8th after that first run, if he can pour it on down here, could take the lead.
He just has to let the skis run a little more down there at the bottom. Up there, he's holding on a little bit too much.
Keeps his skis a little closer together than some of the other racers.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't do a lot of stepping, just goes from side to side with both feet.
Okay, down through the finish line, very controlled skiing, and what a good run on the bottom part of the course. He is in first place by 44 hundredths of a second.
Yes,
Paul Fromeld with only 7 racers to come.
That means he took away about a half second on everybody at the finish. Great run for Paul. I like to see it once again, an old veteran of the Tour.
Okay, still to come, the 2 leaders, Alberto Tomba, who had the fastest run in the first run, and Jonas Nielsen. They were way ahead of everybody else, but right now on the course, 24-year Austrian, Dietmar Kohlbichler, 7th in the World Cup Slalom in 1987. And he didn't last long.
Well, he hooked the tip too, and then he thought about continuing on, then decided not to.
A little sloppy skiing in the second run.
Well, I think guys realize that they're going to have to take more chances like the Nielsen and Tomba did the first run, and we're seeing what happens when those chances come around, or when you take that chance. Here he just goes in a little bit straight, hooks the tip there, and his day is done.
Okay, it looked like he was feeling his way down. Didn't look like he really started to attack very well. Wasn't too sure of himself, but coming up now, and the Italians are going to be cheering because it is one of their heroes, 23-year-old Richard Promatone. Actually, an outstanding giant slalom skier. Not that great in slalom, but he had a pretty good first run. I shouldn't really say that because he was 6th in that first run.
But I think he likes his hill. He did well here last year, and that's always a help. You come back with a positive attitude, and you can be in the hunt.
Okay, he's got to make up 1.47 seconds. That's how far he was behind the leader, Alberto Tomba, from Italy, his teammate.
Right off, he's getting fairly quick pressure on the ski, not staying on the edge too long. A little bit straight at times up here.
Right now, Paul Fromelt from Liechtenstein has the lead, followed by Pfeiffer from Austria and Girosa from Italy.
Good skiing, standing up, trying to wait and pressurize at the right time in the corner.
He doesn't look really quite as quick as some of the other slalom racers. He looks like he might be better in longer, wider, giant slalom turns.
Well, that's showing at the midway. 77 hundredths behind.
He's way out here. Not as good a run as he had in the first run.
No, it isn't. There on the steep, he was getting in a little lower body position, getting a little stale on his skis, not being as quick as he could have been.
Okay, as we see, Promatone coming down now towards the finish line. He will be way out at first place.
Yeah, especially there at the end, he was going really on this second run.
Okay, and Armin Bittner, who had the 5th fastest first run, is out of the running as we see here again.
Yeah, he's on things really well here. He's got a good rhythm going, and he just goes in a little straight, and there he is, hooked up and going over the front of the skis. Not a nice way to fall.
More racers yet to come who have a chance to win. We're looking at Thomas Strassinger from Austria. He was 4th after the first run, 23 years of age, and he was 1.14 seconds out, so he's going to really have to pour it on.
He was one that was standing up a little more upright than a lot of the skiers again on the first run, and that's what's paying off on this steep, icy hill.
Oh, and he had trouble. What's happening up there?
That's the exact same gate that Bittner went out on. He was just in a little bit early, targeted too well with his feet, and was, just 1 inch too tight, and ended up hooking a tip there, and he's down.
Steve, you have to wonder if maybe there isn't just a little bit of ice up there, a little chunk that's throwing those tips out.
Well, I think they're just trying to really get set up for the steep, make sure they come back and get set up, because the next gate is rolling on. He just goes in a little bit too early, hooks his tip there. They just want to make sure they're ready for that steep coming up.
Could have been a little lack of concentration, maybe thinking too far ahead.
You're right, Doc.
And he's out of the race, young Austrian, and this first course is really taking its toll. Only 7 races have completed it so far.
Yeah, we've lost 5. That definitely a lot more going out this second run. You can see that they're taking a little more chances, I believe.
3rd after the first run, 23-year-old Günther Mata from Austria. 2nd in the slalom in the World Championships last year in Crown, Montana, Switzerland. Won the silver medal. Coaches didn't feel he could ski slalom, man. He trained secretly. They thought he was just a giant slalom skier, but he is a good slalom skier.
Well, he's got a good slalom build. He's not a real big boy or real tall. Yet he's fairly husky, and that's something that's coming on with the skiers. They're finding that they have to be a little stronger to be as aggressive as they need to be in slalom.
And he really bangs those hinge gates. He doesn't care if he goes right through them. No helmet for him. He doesn't care. He's just going to let him hit his head if they have to.
Well, everybody has their own feelings on that.
How did it feel with those gates coming banging away at you?
Well, a lot depends on how much you get your hands in the way. If you're just taking them on the face, they're going to hurt. He's a little bit slow. He was getting off a little bit too early the first run, and on the steep there, once again, he was doing the same thing.
Okay, he's going to have to really pour it on down here at the bottom if he's going to take over the lead. Günther Mata, young Austrian. Austrians have a good slalom team, and Mata right now trying to take the lead from Paul Fromelt of Liechtenstein.
Really good skiing there.
Here he is through the finish line. Has he done it? Yes, he has by 21 hundredths of a second. Günther Mata from Austria continues to ski well.
Not so fast on the upper part. He is a little bit too round, or like I said, getting off the edge is a little bit too early on the steep, but he picked it up on the bottom. Okay, but we must remember that Mata was 1.13 seconds behind the leader, Alberto Tomba. But Tomba was only 17 hundredths of a second ahead of Jonas Nielsen, who is coming up now. It is really a race between Nielsen and Tomba for the win, if you really want to look at it that way. Yes, it is, Bob. These two are in a category of their own today. Jonas Nielsen has had a lot of problems with his feet and hasn't been able to train very much in the last couple of years. And it's interesting how he skis with his hands very high. Well, his whole body is high, but his hands are very high. They're almost shoulder height at all times, it seems like, when he's going around the corner. And usually that doesn't help you. You can't get the pressure on the ski the way you need to, but it's working for him. But you know, it seems though he stands so high on his skis and able to kind of touch them with those ankles. It maybe has helped him, at least on that first run it did, but he looks like he's having trouble here on this ice today. Well, this run on the steep there is a little bit to the tail of the skis, and they're having to jet ahead of him a little bit. He's a little bit behind at midway, but he has a lot of time to give away.
Oh, he was 6th after that in the midway time, but keep in mind that he was way ahead, almost a full second ahead of Gunther Matter, so he's got a little time, as you said, to give away. Look at how high he holds those hands.
They're getting behind him and everything. This run is not near as clean as his first run.
He gets a little behind on him and not hitting those gates. Coming through, we're going to know right now as he comes in and takes the lead by 1.13 seconds. It didn't look like he was very fast, but his time was good.
Yeah, he didn't lose any more on the bottom. Actually, probably made time on the bottom from the previous leader. We'll wait for our next person. It's going to be a real fun run to watch.
This is a really exciting slalom race, first one of the season, because now we have Nielsen sitting at the bottom. He's in first place. After the first run, he was 17 hundredths of a second behind Alberto Tomba from Italy. And we're watching him up at the top. Tomba has not been one of the great slalom ski racers. He started with start number 24, I believe. We can see when we see the number coming down, 25 it is in that first run, which means that's where he was on the ranking list.
Right. He is known for giant slalom, but I heard that he has been training very well, almost a second better than almost all the other Italians in training.
Okay, he's only 21 years of old. Very young, new ski racer, a youngster on the circuit, and this is what we oftentimes see in these early races. How are the young guys going to come up? How are they going to stack up against the veterans?
Up top there, he just had such a soft touch. The skis were just really soft at the beginning of the turn and just on and off the edge so quick.
Okay, we have the older racers. Krijai is out. Girardelli had a poor time. Stenmark fell. And here we have a new racer, Tomba, coming down. Good on the top part of the course. If he can hold it, he can win this event. And the Italians are really cheering for him coming down here. Alberto Tomba from Italy coming down through here, the younger 21-year-old, banging on every gate.
He is really going, Bob. This is a run that he won't forget. This is a run he will not forget. He's concentrated well. He's done what he's had to do.
Looks like he has the chance to beat Jonas Nielsen, who's standing. He's done it by a margin of 0.8 of a second. Alberto Tomba wins the first World Cup slalom of the season. What a surprise here. I don't think anybody expected he would be the one.
I don't think so either, Bob. He's a total new face for me. I've heard, once again, he's been doing well in giant slalom in past years, and to have him come out and win the first slalom of the year is going to be a confidence builder for him.
And so here we have our final results. Alberto Tomba from Italy, a surprise winner, but skiing particularly well. Shows the Italians have had some good training. Jonas Nielsen from Sweden and